Good morning, students. So today we are going to discuss about data types. So the next is data types. So C data types are defined as the data storage format that a variable can store a data, and that variable can use that data to perform some operation. So basically it provides a data format for the variable. Now the data types are used to define a variable before to use in a program. So before using a variable in a program, we have to define it, and we use data types for it. So the size of a variable, constant and array are determined by data types. That is what kind of a data type it is, whether it is an integer or whether it is a real number or whether it is a character or a string. So depending upon the type of the data, the size of the variable, constant and array vary. That means the size for storing an integer in a memory is different from that of storing a real number or storing a string or a character. So here is a chart. We can see that a hierarchical chart which basically discusses about the C data types. So we can see over here that we have void is a kind of a data type which basically means that it represents nothing. It is just empty. Then we have primary data types, we have derived data types, user defined and pointer. So for the time being, let's restrict our discussion to only the primary, because these other user-defined pointers, derived, you will cover those in your lectures, which you will basically you will get in the next in other lectures. So in case of primary, you have integer, float. Float represents the real number and character, right? So inside integer you can have basically signed and unsigned. Signed means that is the integer is a positive or a negative. Unsigned means that is we are only considering the positive integers. Then within that we can have int, short int, long int, short int, long int for unsigned as well. So basically int stores integers, short int stores integers which are of larger size than int, then long int stores more higher value of integers. Similarly, we have float, which have float, double, long, double. So we can store simple real numbers, then higher real numbers, and still higher real numbers. Value of more high real numbers can be stored in long double. Similarly, we have character, signed character, and unsigned character. Then we have derived data types, basically which consist of, let's say, array, structures, and union, which you will cover in next lectures. Then let's look at this first C program. So this is the first C program in which we basically started with the hash include standard input output dot h. So whenever we want some input or output functions or operations in our program, so we will always include this standard input output dot h header file. Then we have this comment over here. So this comment is basically not compiled by the compiler, but it is used for basically for the understandability of the user only, so that you can, when you look upon your program next time, you are able to understand that what the program is doing. Or if someone else wants to read your program, so he or she may be able to understand what the program is doing. So I provided a comment over here, that is a calculation of simple interest. So this gives me an idea that this program is going to basically do the calculation of simple interest. Then we have this normal structure of the program, that it begins with an int main function, and within these curly brackets we write down the piece of code, whatever basically instructions we want to perform. So in this program we want to basically do the calculation of simple interest. So we will basically define variables such as integer p and n, which is principal and number of years. Then float, that is real numbers r and si. And then we have assigned the value of principal as 1000, number of years as 3, rate of interest as 8.5. And then we perform the simple apply the simple formula, and that is simple interest is equals to p into n into r divided by 100. So this gives me the value of simple interest. Before this I have provided the comment that this is the formula for simple interest. And then I have a printf, that is with a percentage %f. So basically it is going to print the real value of si. So over here I have taken percent principal and n as the integer values, integer numbers, and I have taken r and si as the real because the percentage rate of interest could be anything as 8.5, 9.5, and si which I have calculated may also be a real number. And then I have done a printf, so it will print the value of si, and then a return zero will basically normally terminate the program. So this is the simple C program. So if we analyze the previous program, we find that the comment about the program should be enclosed within this slash and the asterisk. This we have seen while discussing the program. The comments are solely given for the understanding of the programmer. That is only for the programmer and the user understandability, and they are completely ignored by the compiler. And main is basically a collective name which is given to a set of instructions, and this name has to be the main. It cannot be anything else. This is basically specific that it should be main only, and all statements that belong to the main are enclosed within a pair of braces. So between the pair of brackets all the instructions would be written, as we have seen. So over here we can write down all the instructions of the main within this pair of brackets. So technically speaking, main is a function, and every function has a pair of parentheses associated with it. So a main, since main is a function, and the task of a function is to basically perform a set of instructions should be executed in a program, in a main. So this is what the main is doing, and since it is a function, so it has this parenthesis associated with it. This is the basically the nomenclature, you can say the syntax of the main. Now, in this program which we have written, any variable used in the program must be declared before using it. Right? So, if I want to use a variable for principal, number of years, rate of interest, or simple interest, so I should first declare it. So, over here I have declared int pn for principal, number of years, float r, si for rate of interest and simple interest. After that, I am going to basically use it for use it in my formula. And any C statements always ends with a semicolon. So we can see over here that int p comma n is ends with a semicolon, float r comma si ends with a semicolon. So every statement in C ends with a semicolon. Now if you look into this statement, simple interest is equal to p into n into r divided by 100. So we can see that this multiplication and this division, that is asterisk and slash, are arithmetic operators. So basically it is performing the using these operator we have written down the expression for simple interest. Now unlike other languages, C does not have contain any instructions to display output on the screen, and all output to the screen is achieved using ready-made library functions. So one such function is a printf, and it has been used to display the value contained in the SI, that is the simple interest variable, on the screen. So this printf is defined in the library function std, in the library stdio.h, that is standard input output.h, which we have included in our program. If we have not included stdio.h, we will not be able to execute this function printf. So the general form of printf state function is printf. Then in the double quotes we have that format string and then the list of variables. So the format strings can contain basically what basically contain the format for what we want to display. Whether we want to, let's say, print the integer value, so the format string should be %d. If we want to print real values, it should be %f. Similarly, for character value, printing character values should be %c. Uh, for double value, it should be percentage uh, lf. For string, it should be %s. It should be %u for unsigned integer and %ld for long integers. So, for example, I want to just print the along with the simple interest, I want to print the principal value and the rate also. So I will write down printf. Within this double quotation, I will write down print is equal to percentage d. Percentage d represents integer. So this percentage d is corresponding for this principal value, since our principal value is an integer value. Then we have a backslash n. So backslash n is used for changing the line. So we now change the line. So over here you can see, you will get on the screen print is equal to, and then for in place of percentage d you will get the value of p, which is 1000, and then rate of interest is equal to, so after that we will change the line, and then our rate is equal to comes out, and percentage f is used for real values. So we know that r is a real value. It is not an integer. It is a real number. So percentage f, that is rate is 8.5 is displayed. So this will be displayed corresponding to this printf statement if we have written in our program. So backslash n will be used for change of line from principal to rate, and percentage d is used for displaying the principal value, and percentage f is used for displaying the rate of interest. And we have discussed that backslash n is called a new line, and it takes the cursor to the next line. Therefore, you get the output split over two screens. Backslash n is one of the several escape sequences which are available in C. So these escape sequences are used basically to make your output more readable and more understandable. So some escape sequences which are available in C is backslash n for new line, slash t for a tab that is providing some space, slash v for vertical tab, slash f for new page, slash b for backspace, and slash r for carriage data. These are certain escape sequences which are used in C. So using this whatever we have discussed, if we can in what all ways we can use printf. So the simple syntax of printf is that inside printf within the brackets and in double quotation you will write down your message whatever you want to display. So if we want to write down, let's say printf, and we in the double quotations we write down percentage format specifier, and then we provide the names of the variables separated by comma. So if we take this example, printf percentage d, which is stands for, let's say, an integer value I, integer variable I, then we will have percentage f for a real number r, and percentage c for a character x. So in this way we can basically use, in various way you can use printf. Similarly, we can use scanf to take some input, that is it would be within the brackets in double quotation. If we are using percentage d, it will represent this integer variable, and percentage c will represent this variable x, this character variable x. In case of printf and scanf, there is a difference that we don't use. We use this ampersand and sign before the name of the variable in case of scanf, whereas we don't use it in case of printf. This you should remember for the time being, because you have to store during the time of scanf. You have to store the value in the variable, so you have to provide the memory location where this variable is, and in order to provide that memory location, you have to provide a and or an ampersand before I and x in the scanf. Whereas in case of printf, you have to only display that value onto the screen. So you don't need to change the variable. So you just use I, R, and x. No ampersand or and sign is used in case of printf. Now for the practice purpose, you can basically try these programs such as calculate the average of three numbers, enter and save the marks of 5 subjects in 5 variables, and calculate the total marks and percentage of marks, and then print the result. So you can try these in separate programs. Convert degree to Celsius and vice versa. So you can use the formula for conversion from degree to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. Or you can also try the swapping of two numbers. So swapping is basically interchanging of two numbers. So you are having a value in two variables A and B. You want to interchange their values. Thank you.